I cannot say this enough. Dr. Galley has said it on so many occasions. We are not, I begin, or rather end as I began, not out of the woods. There's, I don't know, perhaps some amnesia, some distraction, understandable frustration, angst, cabin fever that has entered into the national discourse, nightly news, understandably focused on other things, now beginning to refocus back on COVID-19. You're seeing some spikes in other states as it relates to hospitalization rates and ICU rates that obviously lead to concern. All these things are sobering, and we're very mindful of that. And I want folks to understand we are very mindful of that. As we mix, as we reopen, inevitably, we're going to see an increase in the total number of cases. It's our capacity to address that that is so foundational, and to make sure we're prepared for spikes. The reason we put this slide up is in 1918, you saw in the flu pandemic, that the first wave was relatively modest. That's the wave we're still working through. It was the second wave where things peaked because people said, we've got this. People said, you know, we can go back and we don't need to wear masks. You can read about all of this. One should read about all of this. If history doesn't repeat itself, as Twain said, it certainly rhymes. So let us be cognizant of that past, and let us be mindful of our present. We don't want to experience the second wave as they experienced in 1918 in the fall, and even in the early part of spring 1919, that third wave, without the kind of preparation that is required at this moment. And that preparation includes not just the state of California working in partnership with the federal government and the private sector to have the hospitalization, to have the PPE, to have all of this inventory, but it's also incumbent upon us as individuals to be smart, to wear a face covering, to physically distance, to continue to wash your hand, and to do the kinds of things that are necessary for us to avoid that second wave. I've long said this. You've heard me say it on nauseam occasions. I'll say it again. The future is not just something to experience. It's not just in front of you. It's inside of you. It's our decisions that determine our fate and future. We have agency. We can manifest the future we want as long as we're smart. And what being smart includes is when you're outside, when you're with a mixed group of people, not the cohort within your family, and you start to bring other folks over and cousins and folks you haven't seen in a while, be smart about physically being distanced. Wear a face covering. Again, total number of positives are up, not down. You may say, well, that's not going to impact me, but you don't know that. And it may not only impact you, you may be asymptomatic, but it may impact someone that gets the disease because you didn't know you had it, and you were not physically distanced. You were not wearing a face covering when you were picking up that coffee, and you were in a very constrained environment. It's one thing to be outside. It's another to be inside for an extended period of time without the air circulating, without the ability to move around and move away from people until this pandemic is behind us. So be smart. Wear that face covering as appropriate and physically distance to the extent you can, and continue the hygiene that is so foundational for us ultimately to meet this moment and to save lives.